Welcome back to the Tech Shack to another low quality video. So I've been putting off the transition for a while. ClearOS literally built the channel. Prior to all my ClearOS videos, this channel had my business branding and was used to host video content edited in our website. My ClearOS videos were the only ones at the time to reach and exceed 1,000 views, and that's what ultimately led to the channel's rebrand. However, the OS is dead and it's time to move on. I researched a bunch of different options, but ultimately it came down to OPNsense and Sophos. The others were not for me between hardware compatibility, user base size, and well, call me lazy, but I want a web UI. Now, since I'm running Omada access points with a software controller on my server, I could just switch to the Omada Firewall, but no. While I love their APs, I find their Omada Firewall is lacking. The residential, middle-of-the-road for small business stuff that doesn't have the amount of branding is actually a better value when it comes to TP-Link routers. So between Sophos and OPNsense, I ultimately chose OPNsense. I didn't like the artificial hardware limitations with the free version of Sophos, and technically running a business on the same network, I probably shouldn't be using Sophos Home anyway. OPNsense, on the other hand, I was only avoiding because everybody else used it, and that's not a valid reason not to give it a try. The initial decision was tough though, and I didn't make up my mind till I made the USB drive. The transition was also sped up by a failing USB fan in the firewall box. Could have replaced it with a deep cool cooler, basically an older style stock heatsink with a deep cool fan, or just swapped the fan over, but instead I took this Arctic fan with broken mounts that used an Intel stock heatsink and dropped it on this AMD heatsink. Then I got a call from the wife. She found a deal online I couldn't pass up, and I took a 2-hour break to meet a lady off Facebook Marketplace and buy 37 concrete block and made some new steps for the shack. Once the steps were done, I came back to find the firewall at 43C, which, considering the cram space, lack of fans, it's fine. Once I got it back in place, I took the time to reorganize the cabling before I took my entire network down. The installation of the OS, though, was quick. The only thing I had to Google was the initial setup username and password. I found everything I needed without having to look hard. Setting up static IPs or permanent IP leases is easy, actually easier than ClearOS, which is going to be a running theme. I didn't have to set up any VLANs since I do all that wirelessly through virtual SSIDs, but if you have traditional wired VLANs, you can do it faster with OPNsense than ClearOS, since the UI is intuitively laid out and done so correctly. And this is coming from someone who has ran ClearOS for over a decade. Setting this up, I had zero preparation or experience, and this went quicker than setting up any off-the-shelf router or firewall solution. Everything is exactly where you would expect to find it, and way more intuitive than my beloved ClearOS. In fact, with ClearOS, oftentimes I would have to Google something to refresh myself on where an option is. And I think a lot of that comes down to fundamentally what ClearOS was meant to be. ClearOS was a Swiss Army knife of server operating systems. You could have it be your router and firewall, your print server, your NAS, your mail server, you name it, it could do it. This was an all-in-one box. And while it's good at everything, OPNsense is just great at being a firewall. The rest of the family hasn't even noticed a difference, and that's actually a good thing. Seamless transition that no one noticed to an OS that feels more purpose-built. Seems like a win for me. But that's it for this low-quality video. I will see you guys in the next one.